Over the past year, I've flown every obtainable ship there is in Star Citizen, and I want to use the lessons that I've learned and lived through to help you get started off right and avoid mistakes like this one. But since you're here today, I'm going to assume that you've already tried Star Citizen. Maybe you played in a free fly, or maybe you saw a friend play it and you really want to get into it. So I'm not going to go into length about why it's such a great game and how amazing it looks and sounds and all of the great things about it. But before we do get started, I do want to remind you that it is a game that's still in testing, for lack of better words. And some days you're just flying along ready to land at New Babbage and your ship blows up. That's just what Star Citizen is. But really, if you're willing to look past the odd thing here and there that seems a little bit strange or sometimes funny, an amazing game. I just don't want to set unrealistic expectations. So, without further ado, let's actually jump into this. Pledge Store is the name of CIG's real-life store. You can take real-life money and turn it into in-game ships and items and gear, etc. So, first off, we have the ship section. Now, in this section, you can peruse through all of the different ships that they offer. It's actually very difficult to buy ships in this section, and not all of these ships are available for sale. As you go through, you can see the detail of each ship. You can see all of the specs, etc., all the things that it actually compares to. Near the bottom, if it is for sale, you will actually see the options to buy it. Personally, I like to actually use the standalone ships section. So if you go back to the main page of the store, and then under here's at the top and standalone ships. Now this section actually focuses specifically on the ships that are for sale. I typically will do all my research ahead of time. Then I come into this section to see what I can actually buy. Next up, we've got the paint section. This is a place you can come in and buy new skins for your existing vehicles. Or after that, you've got merchandise. Now, this is real-life merchandise that you can buy that they will ship to your house for you to wear or have or just touch and play with. Now, back onto the extra section. Here we've got ship upgrades. This is a place you can take the existing ships that you have and upgrade them to another ship. You could probably do an entire video dedicated to just how this entire section works, just to realize that they are not necessarily immediately applied. Under the standalone ships we covered earlier, we've got gear. This is a place to buy gear for your character in-game, including weapons and armor, etc. Under that, we come into the packs section. This is a nice place to buy groups of items if you're interested in maybe two similar ships, or larger packs if you want to really jump into the game. Very bottom on the left-hand side here, now we've got add-ons, and this is a place that you go to buy modules for certain ships, and just some other random stuff that you can buy. Over on the right-hand side of the extras menu, this is where you can actually go to buy in-game currency. My only suggestion is don't. There's also a couple of other options in here, including the subscriber store, which is only for subscribers. So Star Citizen works a little bit differently than most games do. You don't actually purchase the game. What you do is, under the Pledge Store, there's a section called Game Packages. Now, in order to play the game, you have to make sure that you own a game packet. Anything on this screen will actually give you access to the game. Now, these range in price from completely affordable to $15,000 US. I'm going to focus the video today on anything less than $100. For me, to get started on a game, it should be less than $100. On this price point, that actually gives you quite a few options to work with. There's about 12 different options that you get in this price point right now, and this does change almost on a daily basis sometimes. I'm going to dive into each of these ships and really walk you through what you need to consider when you're purchasing your starter pack. If you already have your starter pack, you're welcome to skip over to the next chapter, but let's do a deep dive for those people who don't. Now, before I jump into it, the one thing I do have to emphasize is when you're choosing a starter pack, a lot of it is really personal preference on how you like the ship and how it looks to you. Keep in mind, you are going to spend a lot of time getting in and out of this ship, so you have to pick something that you like, even if the numbers say that it's not necessarily the best. So the first decision that you need to make is if you're going to be a combat-only focused player, at least in the beginning. You can always change your mind later in the game. You can always upgrade your ship as well. But if you're going to be focused on combat, as opposed to package delivery and just a variety of other gameplay, it really will influence the starter ship that you pick. Because what you want to do is you want to buy a starter pack with a ship that's focused more on combat, obviously. So that's one of the things just to keep in the back of your mind as we go through here. So why don't we start out with the Intrepid starter pack. Now, the Intrepid is the newest ship that was announced at IAE 2954. It's 2024. Spy Crusader. It's really got a bit of a modern feel to it. Now, the pack that they're currently offering, I don't know how long this is going to be on sale for, but they value it at $80. It's currently on sale for $68. Again, the prices change all the time. So, if we look at this also contained section in the middle here, this is where you really want to focus. So this is everything that it includes other than just the ship. So in this case, it includes the fusion paint. That is a nice green shade of paint. It also includes the Nocturne paint, which is kind of a blacked out version where it's primarily black with a bit of blue on it. It includes the Star Citizen digital download. Now that's the one that you really need to look at. Anything that includes a Star Citizen digital download will get you access to play the game. Now included in that, there's also 20,000 UEC. Now UEC is the credit that's used within the game. 20,000 is actually quite a high number. Normally it's a lot less than that. So it's nice to see the high number on the Intrepid pack. The next piece is the lifetime insurance. Now, insurance isn't fully implemented into the game, so if you plan to play for a while, this is relevant, but if you plan to just kind of play for 6 months and leave, it's probably never going to come into fruition for you. What the lifetime insurance gives you is it'll give you a certain level of insurance for the lifetime that you play the game. Now, the standard depends on the ship, so it's something you really need to watch out for. And typically, as with this one, the reason that the lifetime insurance is actually available is because the ship was just announced and just released. Now, the other thing is the self-land hangar. That's the last item, and it also contains. It's not really 100% relevant right now. They used to, in the game, have different levels of hangars and stuff, but now the level of hangar is dictated based off of the place that you land. So the self-land hangar is a little bit irrelevant right now. However, it is nice when you're first starting to get out with the game because you can actually have your ship self-land just by holding the N key, and you don't have to worry about actually landing it yourself. The one important thing that I will mention as well is that 20,000 UEC credits is for when the game launches in Release 1.0. Right now we're using something called Alpha UEC, or AUEC for short. So you won't actually get that 20,000 until the game formally launches in Release 1.0, which will probably be several years from now, honestly. So the next ship that we're going to cover is the Cutter. So you'll notice here that the Cutter is actually available as part of two different packages. You have the Cutter starter package, and you have the Cutter IAE starter package. Now, the Cutter IAE starter package is a limited time sale, which is available because we just finished the IAE event. So even though it's $9 less, it's actually a better package. So let's start off with the Cutter starter pack. So in this case, you'll notice the same Star Citizen digital download, the self-land hangar, but this one actually only includes 6 months of insurance and 1,000 UEC credits. We quickly jump back to the IAE starter pack version of the Cutter. You'll notice that this one includes 20,000 UEC credits and 120 months of insurance. So significantly more insurance, significantly more credits. There's also this bonus wind chill paint, which will give you another option if you don't really like the default look of the Cutter. Now, in this case, this is a far better deal. Even though the base price of them is both $60, this one comes in at $9 less, and you're actually getting substantially more. Now again, this is only available for a limited time, but one of the things of Star Citizen is you really have to watch the website because certain things will come on and off at a regular basis. So if I wanted the Cutter, I would definitely go and focus on the IAE starter pack if it's still available. Next up, we have the Aurora MR starter pack. This one's priced at $45 USD. And as we go into it, we'll see that this includes 3 months of insurance, 1,000 UEC. So it's a pretty standard pack. It's a really popular ship as well, but there's really no sales on it. Next up, we've got the Mustang Alpha starter packs. Again, in this case, there are actually 2 of these available, another IAE special. priced at $45 USD normally. So the normal Mustang Alpha again comes with 1,000 UAC credits, 3 months of insurance. That's pretty standard for most starter packages. We look at the special pack, which is only available for a limited amount of time. You'll notice that this one comes with 120 months of insurance and 20,000 UAC credits, again for a $5 discount. This also includes the Polar paint, so that'll give you another option. I believe the Polar paint is a white version of the paints, but you can always check the paint section if you want to see exactly how it looks. Next up, we have the C8X Pisces Expedition. This is one of my favorite little ships to start with in the game. It flies really nice, it's really quick to kind of jet around with, and it's a quite enjoyable flight. Now, if we dive into this $60 pack, you'll notice this one comes with 6 months of insurance and 1,000 UEC credits. Finishing out the row, we have the 100i starter pack. So this is a $65 package. We're getting a little bit higher up in price now. This includes 6 months of insurance and 1,000 UEC credits. It's also shipped by Origin, and Origin makes some really nice, kind of fancy, luxurious, modern-looking ships. Next up on our list today, we have the Avenger Titan. This one is priced in at $75 and includes 1,000 UEC and 6 months of insurance. This is one of the more popular starter ships, so I know a lot of people really like to fly this. I've flown it myself, and I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it's nice and fast, holds a decent amount of cargo, for a starter ship, that is. And all in all, I don't think you'd go wrong with the Avenger Titan. Now we come into the Cillian. This is an alien ship. Flies a lot differently than the rest of the ships. In the pledge story, and actually just in general, more different than the rest of the ships. This is actually the one that I started with. I really like the way that this thing flies, but it is very unique. Again, this one starts with 1,000 UAC, 6 months insurance, so that's pretty standard. Now we have the Avril Arrow. This is essentially a dedicated fighter ship. It's a great little fighter. It's a light fighter. Personally, wouldn't be something I would start the game with, but to each their own. This comes with a 6 months insurance and the 1,000 UEC as well. And last on our list of ships under $100, we've got the Nomad starter pack. So this one comes in right at $95, 6 months insurance and 1,000 UEC. Now when I test drove this one, personally I didn't like it. It flies like a tank. I find it very slow compared to the other starter ships, and I wouldn't really recommend it. Now that you actually know what I'm talking about as we go through the ships and what would be included if you purchased it, I've pulled together some stats on how the different ships compare. Now, this is where things get really personal, because you have to make a decision right up front before you've actually played the game on where you want to focus to begin with. For instance, if I wanted to focus on freight and cargo hauling, the Nomad is a no-brainer. Holding 24 SCU just dwarfs anything else, which will make it a much better ship to fly for cargo. If I wanted to focus on combat, for instance, the Arrow is kind of a no-brainer. By far with the best guns, the best missiles, it would definitely be a winner. Now, personally, when I'm starting the game, I don't know what I'm getting into, so I'm looking for something that's kind of middle of the road. Again, this is where it really gets personal, so it comes down to almost what ship do you think looks the best. Well, personally, for 4.0, I went with the Intrepid. I like the way that the new skin looks on it, and I'm really excited to start over the game with this starter pack. When you first load the game, you're going to see a screen that looks very similar to this, and you're going to be asked if you want to join the Persistent Universe or Arena Commander. Arena Commander is a great place to go to practice your flight. Really, there's no consequences if you die or if you blow up your ship, and you don't really have to worry about it. It's again, just a great place to go practice. Now, the Persistent Universe is a place where things actually matter. Things theoretically persist. Once you've gone through and you've set up your character and you've decided how you're going to look, you're going to be asked to choose an area. You're going to be asked to choose between New Babbage, Area 18, Crusader, and Lorryville. Now, each of those different locations offers something very unique. So Area 18 is really kind of the cyberpunky version of Star Citizen. It looks incredibly super modern, super futuristic. Lorryville is a lot more of the industrial kind of feel. So it's really dirty, it's grungy. It's actually very difficult to navigate around as well. On Crusader, on Orison, it's a lot more kind of in the clouds. It literally is in the clouds. It's a great place to start, but I do find it kind of out of the way. And then you also have Microtech and New Babbage. Now, Microtech and New Babbage is a place that I settled down. I like it because it is modern but not super futuristic, if that makes sense. It's also very easy to navigate around. So my recommendations would be either Area 18 or New Babbage. But again, it's really a personal feel, and unfortunately, once you pick your location, you can't change it until the next patch is out. Even though you can't actually change your home location, it doesn't actually matter. You can set your spawn point or your regen point to any place that allows it within the game, including space stations. And one thing I do recommend is when you spawn in, fly up into orbit, find the nearest space station, and set your spawn there, because you don't have to deal with atmosphere unless you want to. Your home location is only really used when you're buying something in real life and it's delivered into the game. It'll always be found in your home location. It's a little bit of a strange topic to actually have to cover, but one of the first things you're going to want to do is actually get dressed. So if you head to one of these terminals that look like this, you walk up to it and you press F. On the right hand side, you'll see all of the things that are in your inventory at that station or landing base or wherever you happen to be. On the left hand side, you'll see everything that you currently have on your player. So the first thing you want to do is drag your medical gown off or whatever you're wearing off, and you just do that by dragging straight down onto the arrows on the bottom. First, you have to equip an undersuit. Top of the undersuit, you put on your core. Now this is really your chest protector, for lack of better words. You'll also need to add a helmet, some arms, some legs, then any backpacks or armor or multi-tools or that kind of thing that you want to include. So in this case, now that I'm fully kitted out in the set that I got, I need to go over into utility and I need to equip a multi-tool because I'm going to be moving some cargo. So I grab my multi-tool, I drag it over onto my belt. For some reason it puts it in my hand, but once it's on my belt, now I need to actually attach a tractor beam attachment to the multi-tool as well. The multi-tool does multiple things. So I find a tractor beam attachment and I drag that up. Now, bit of advice, make sure that the multi-tool attachment actually attached to the multi-tool. Sometimes it doesn't. And it's a real pain when you go fly out and think you're going to move a box and you can't. I actually go as far as to test it in my hangar before I leave. Because sometimes it'll be working perfectly fine the last time and then it'll just stop. So now that you're actually kitted out, now you can actually get started on your first mission. Now that you're dressed, we have to actually get your ship dressed. So you do that by heading over to an ASOP terminal. You select the ship that you want to put your liveries or guns or whatever on, and you select deliver. Very important that it has to be delivered to the space station where your stuff is. So once it's delivered, as you can see, mine gets delivered to New Babbage here. We exit out of the ASOP terminal. We go into our Mobi-Glass. So within the Mobi-Glass, over on the far right-hand side, you have vehicles. You now select the vehicle that you want to put, whatever it is you want to put on the top right. And then you simply assign whatever you want to assign. So in this case, I don't actually have a lot that I can assign to my reclaimer. As you can see here, of course. But I can pick on any of these things that are actually available that show here and assign them. Now, I'm going to put something on my Intrepid that I just bought. So I select my Intrepid, I select my liveries, and I select the skin that I want to assign to it. These are the skins that you get when you purchase the game with your starter pack, or you can purchase them separately as well sometimes. Now it's important to know that when you actually click on one that you also have to click Save Changes and Equip on the right hand side. I often forget that and get really annoyed when I pull my ship back up and it's now gone. So once you've done that, you can simply exit out of your Mobi-Glass, head back over to the ASOP terminal,
to the ASOP vehicle retrieval system.
Find the ship that you want to actually bring up on the ship elevator. I've got a few in here. It was IE, I'd rented a whole bunch. Normally people don't have nearly that many. So once you've selected it, you will see your ship. If you had something on the hangar already, it'll now go down, it'll disappear, and your ship will actually come up. I'm just going to skip ahead to show you that part because with the extra large hangars, they are very, very slow. And there you have it. Your newly painted ship is now ready to be flown. Now that you're all kitted out, it's time to get started. So you get started by pressing F1 or F2 and heading over to the Contracts tab. Now you'll see on the Contracts tab that there's a variety of different types of missions. Now, don't expect to start with as many missions as I have here. I've been playing for a little while. So things like hauling, don't expect to have 95. I think you start with 2 or 3 of them. And what happens is you start with those 2 or 3 and you build up your reputation in that area. You can tell, I like doing my hauling, I like doing my delivery. So there's also unverified missions at the top. Now those are kind of your illegal missions, if you will. They're semi-legal, they're not really illegal. So the choice is really up to you on which way you want to go. The unverified do have a higher payout, but it's also higher risk. Just to explain these, bounty hunter missions, you are chasing down another individual. Now, it could be an NPC or it could be a real person. You're a criminal, you're trying to track them down. Priority missions are those missions that are given to us as part of global events. So for instance, right now, there's an event called Save Stanton. The hauling missions, you're moving cargo from one area to another. Delivery missions are kind of like cargo missions, but on a small scale. So you're moving packages from one area of a distribution center to another. Racing is pretty self-explanatory. Investigation missions, you're looking for a missing person. Mercenary missions, you're kind of a gun for hire. And research missions, you're going out and you're placing out a drone or a beacon in the middle of space for research purposes. There's also salvage missions, which don't actually appear in my list right now for some reason. I think it's a bug. Where you're going out and you're salvaging a ship. Now that does require a certain type of ship, like a vulture. I'm going to take a hauling mission just because it's easy to show you guys. So what I'm looking for is a hauling mission, a small hauling mission that's located in New Babbage, going up to Port Tressler. So in this case, they're offering 9 SCU. As you see, I accept it, close my Mobi-Glass, and away I go to my ship. I tend to take my ship and I'll actually move it next to the cargo doors in my hangar. I just have an extra large hangar and it gets to be a real pain running back and forth with boxes. Once you're in your ship and you actually find your seat, it's really easy to fly. You press U, which starts the ship, I, which turns on the engines, and you're ready to go. So in this case, I also pressed F3, which opened the hangar doors, because I completely didn't realize that I was just flying over to the other side of the cargo area. But to take off, you press space. To go down again, you press left control. As you see here, I'm just going to fly it over and I'm just going to basically back it in as close to that cargo elevator as I possibly can. Now, the reason that I'm doing this is it's actually pretty slow to move boxes back and forth. And this makes it very fast because you're not moving them as far. Once I land, I press I to shut off my engines and I head over to the kiosk for the freight elevator. Now, in my case, the freight elevator is already all the way down. So I don't need to lower it. Once it's lowered, you just simply go to the right-hand side, grab the boxes you want, and pull them over to the left-hand side. Now at this point, it was where I actually realized that I messed up because the ship that I took out can't carry those larger boxes. I'll just show you with a one box that does actually fit on the ship exactly how we do it. So we press up to raise the freight elevator, wait a few seconds, take out our tractor tool by pressing F5. We simply point at the box and left click with our mouse and drag it onto the ship. Now, if you move too fast, it'll drop the box. It can be a little bit finicky. So now in this case, I actually have to really kind of jam the box in there and it moves my ship around. It's kind of strange, but you'll notice that it's actually anchored when it turns a light blue. And I lift up my cargo bay and I'm on my way. Unloading the ship is actually the exact opposite of loading it. We simply open the cargo bay door. We grab the package again using the left click on the tractor beam. We kind of take that, carry it over into the freight elevator. And as we place it down into the freight elevator, which you'll see that blue highlight I was talking about a second ago. Now this means it's going to snap to the cargo grid. You want to make sure all of your cargo is snapped to the cargo grid. You head over to the freight elevator kiosks. And you press the down button. Now, unfortunately, at this point, my game was being a little glitchy, so it doesn't work out as well as it should, but normally you just press the down elevator on the left-hand side. It'll come up with a screen and ask you if you want to complete the mission. And there you have it. Your first mission completed. You get your payout and go about your next mission. And there you have it, and let me be the first to welcome you to the verse. Star Citizen is an amazing game that I know everyone will enjoy, but it is not without its issues. Even in this video, you can see a couple of the issues that I stumbled across. Again, it's a game that I really enjoy playing, and I hope that you will as well. With that said, thank you very much for coming and hanging out with me for about half an hour as I walked you through starting with really nothing, not being able to play the game, yet completing your first mission. If you like what you saw, again, I do appreciate the likes and the subscribes, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I'm always here to help. Once again, welcome to the verse, and until next time.